Hi guys, welcome back to another Holler Board Games video. I'm Joanna.
I'm Dave.
And today we are going to be reviewing Earth.
Earth.
The game, not the planet. We like the planet.
I like the game more, I think.
Yeah, probably.
All right, guys. Earth is a game for 1 to 5 players. It plays in about 45 to 90 minutes. It is published by Inside Up Games, and it is designed by Maxime Tardif. If I messed up your name, I apologize. I'm terrible with names.
But thanks for watching the video.
Guys, we're going to do a brief rules overview to let you know a little bit about how to play. And then when we come back, we'll have our likes, our dislikes, what we think other people might not like, and then we're going to give it a score. Yep. So let's go ahead and get you to that rules overview so you understand how to play. All right, everyone, let's very briefly go over how to play Earth. So on your turn in Earth, you're going to be taking one of these 4 actions. Now, the top half of this action is for the active player, and the bottom half of the action is for everyone else around the table. So everyone is doing something and taking an action on everyone's turn, and that contributes to there being no downtime in this game at all. So what you're going to do is the first action here is plant. So if I choose to plant, that's going to let me take cards from my hand and plant them out here in my tableau. So if I plant the card, and that's telling me that I could plant 2 cards, and that would let me pay their dirt cost. So this one is 3 and this one is 1. So I would pay 4 dirt, and I would plant those 2 cards out here in my tableau. Now, then I would draw 4 cards from the draw deck, and I would take those 4 cards, and I would get to choose one of them to keep, and I would discard the other 3 to the discard pile. Everyone else around the table would get to plant 1 card and draw 1 card from the draw pile and keep that card. Now, the second action is composting. Composting is what allows me to get dirt tokens to pay for my plants. So for example, if I were composting here, I would get 5 dirt, and then I would also be able to take 2 cards from the draw pile, and I would be able to take them and place them face down in my compost pile. At the end of the game, every card that is face down in your compost pile is worth 1 point. That's what I would be able to do. Everyone else would get 2 dirt or compost 2 cards. The next action is to water. If I take the water action, I'm able to take 6 of these cubes, and I'm able to put them on my plants that have spaces for them. And these are kind of sprouts, so you're growing new growth when you put those onto your cards. And that would also allow me to collect 2 dirt. Everyone else around the table would get to place 2 cubes or get 2 dirt. The last action here is to grow, and this action is how you get more cards. So for example, this one tells me that I can draw 4 cards from one of the draw piles, and I can keep all 4 of those cards. It also tells me that I can get growth, and what growth means is that I can put these pieces on these cards. And so, for example, this one right here has a growth of 2, so I would put 1, and then for my second growth, I would put a cap on that. At the end of the game, each card that has a cap on it is worth this white number here, and if it doesn't have a cap on it, then it is just worth what each of the segments. So this would be worth 1 point because it only has 1 segment on it. And you can see some of these have different, and they can end up growing pretty tall at the end of the game. Now, when you are taking those actions, you will notice this symbol in the middle. If you take that action, what that means is that you will then activate every card in your tableau. So let's just say this is what your card tableau looks like here. And so if you take the yellow action, you would then activate this card and this card because they both have yellow on them. If you would take the red compost action, you would activate this card and this card and this card. You always go from left to right, top to bottom. So this is how you're building your engine, and that engine is running on every person's turn. So you would do this every time anybody took one of those actions. Now at the end of the game, the goal, what you're trying to do, is you're trying to score based on various things. One thing you can try to score on is your ecosystem card. Now this is telling me that I'll get 3 points for every 2 cards that I have that have the water symbol on them. Like, for example, these 2 plant cards both have a water symbol on them. So at the end of the game, I would get 3 points if I had those 2. If I had 4, I would get 6 points. So also, there are 2 general ecosystem cards that are for everyone to share that are on the scoring board. And there are these fauna cards. And the fauna cards are also general scoring goals that you work on throughout the course of the game. So, like, for example, this earthworm wants you to have 15 plus cards in your compost pile. Once you have 15 plus cards in your compost pile, then you would score on your player board or on the scoring board the number of points that was to. So, for example, if this earthworm was here and I was the first person to score that, I would place a leaf token here and I would get 15 points. If I was the second person, I would get 11 points, and so on and so on and so forth. At the end of the game, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be adding up your growth. All of your little cubes that are on a card count as 1 point each. Your growth that are on cards counts as how many ever points they add up to. You're going to be adding up all of the points in your compost pile. You're going to be counting all of the general points on your cards, which is here. And you're going to be figuring up your ecosystem cards, your fauna cards, and you're going to be getting a collective score, and that score is usually a higher number in this game. It's upwards of 100, 200 points. And once after everyone has added up all of their points together, then whoever has the most points is going to be the winner. Alrighty.
And welcome back from the rules. We're going to get into our likes and our dislikes. So what are some of your likes?
So I love the card art for this one.
Mm-hmm.
The pictures of every individual thing in the game. They're all beautiful. They're all bright. They're all vibrant. I really love the way it looks once you have this tableau down and you have all of the art out. I really enjoy the engine building, the way you're making this engine of your island over here. And there's no downtime in this game. Every time somebody takes an action, everybody else at the table also gets to take an action. And that engine is running every single time.
Every single time.
Yep. You do something and you're always activating this. I always feel like there's a ton of stuff happening on my turn. I never feel bored. I really, really enjoy that. It's rare to find a game that doesn't have any downtime.
Yeah.
And so I really like that aspect of it. It makes this one, I said before the time was 45 to 90 minutes. It does not feel like
not
that.
At all.
This game feels super quick.
By.
Yes, I really enjoy that a lot. I enjoy there being little factoids on the card.
I do too.
That tell me what things do. If I play a card about, this mushroom, it gives me a little tidbit, a little factoid about this mushroom. And I really, really, really enjoy that. I love learning little bits and pieces as I go along.
Yeah, I like that too. I will say that sometimes I feel like I don't even have time to read the little factoids just because I'm spending so much time thinking. Sometimes when it's my turn, I feel like I'm slowing things down because it's a very strategic game. But that's a like for me. I really like things that are more strategic and thinky. And I really like the animals in this game as well. The animals are part of the scoring mechanism at the end of the game. You're trying to satisfy the likes for that particular animal so that they'll move into your habitat. I really love the way that you get points from them makes sense. So we had a sloth in the last game that we played. And in order to get points from the sloth, you had to have plenty of tall trees in your ecosystem because sloths like to live in tall trees. So it makes sense. And there's an adorable picture of a sloth with little facts about sloth on there. And they kind of make sense to the mechanism of how that scoring works. Yeah. And that brings me to another one of my likes, which is I really like the way that as you're running your engine, the actions that happen make sense. So if I'm watering my ecosystem, I'm going to get a lot of little sprouts. If I am composting, I'm going to be getting soil back. So it makes a lot of sense scientifically.
Everything is very thematically tied in with the mechanics. Like it all blends together very, very, very well.
That's a much better way to say the thing. I
really enjoy that too. That's one of my favorite aspects of it. What about dislikes?
I don't have very many dislikes, honestly. I will say that sometimes you will get two scoring mechanisms that conflict with one another. There's a lot of scoring based on where you have certain things in your card tableau. And sometimes you'll have two that are just in complete opposition to one another, and there's no way you could get maximum points from both of them. So that is a little bit annoying sometimes. How about you?
Yeah, that's actually on my list of dislikes too. There's a beginner version of this game where you just have the animals and you don't have the ecosystem cards for scoring. And honestly, I think I like the beginner version a little better because the beginner version doesn't. Everyone gets the same amount of points for the fauna cards as long as you get a leaf on there. And I like that because it doesn't feel like bad card draws can mess you up.
You've got the whole game.
Right. You've got the whole game to get those goals. The person that's
drawing all of one card doesn't get the benefit from that.
And then the ecosystem cards, with you having 3 choices for the ecosystem cards, there is a lot there to manage and to keep track of and to pay attention to as you go along. And I feel like the beginner version of the game, and I'm sure this is the intent, but I feel like the beginner version of the game is kind of less competitive and more lighthearted. And I feel like the opposite side of that board, where you have the different points for the different goals and everything, it's a little more competitive, but I don't feel like the competitiveness is in how I build my engine. I feel like the competitiveness sometimes is in what cards I draw.
You're getting,
and so
random.
Yeah, and so that's kind of bothersome for me. It's not a major thing.
No,
it's just
me
that I think I tend to lean towards the beginner side of this board a little bit more and make it a little bit more of a chill experience. I wish there was an option where I could have all 3 ecosystem cards, but the fauna cards would all be worth 10 points instead of it tearing down.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could play it that way if you wanted to. It's your game. There's nothing stopping you from playing it however you want it to. But as it's designed, that's one of the things that kind of that gets me is the scoring options. I also will say that I love the card art. I put that in my likes. I really enjoy that. The rest of the art, I'm not huge on. The player boards, the dirt tokens, the things like that, they're all very, what's the word? They're all very like systematic. Like they're not super artistic. It's all very mechanical. This is what you do. It looks like it's a very simple graphic design, which I'm sure was the goal, but I feel like it kind of undermines the beauty of the rest of the game instead of enhancing it.
It's not organic. It's more of a...
It's very, that's a good way to put it. It doesn't look as organic as the rest of the game. It looks like it was designed. Now, there is a plus to that. Everything is very easy to read. All of the information is right here in front of me. I understand why they did that, but I wish there were things that were a little bit prettier. As far as the mechanical pieces go, the dirt tokens and everything.
Yeah.
So that's a minor dislike of mine. The components here they're nothing great. You know, the backs of the card art and stuff is kind of the same way. They're kind of very bland.
Yeah.
That's nitpicking, if we're being honest. Like, it's nitpicking. But that's just one of the things that I see a lot of really beautiful games in this nature space. And I feel like this one is really beautiful in your tableau that you have over here, but I feel like the other parts of it are just kind of and they don't really sew it all together. That's about all that I have for dislikes for the game.
I had one thought that if you were trying to play this game with little children or cats around, it might be a little bit of a struggle because you build up these trees and you didn't have any really tall trees in yours, but these can get like 7 or 8 high, and so they can be easily knocked over as somebody's reaching to draw cards. That might be a little bit annoying, but it's a tiny thing.
Well, that kind of flows into our next thing. So what other people might dislike.
Oh yeah, that was my other thing. We don't have a cat, thankfully.
Yeah. So anything else that you can think about that other people might kind of dislike going into this?
One more, and my phone locked, so I gotta unlock my phone awkwardly. Hey. Oh, it's complicated. I remembered it while I was trying to unlock my phone. It's kind of complicated. It is, even on the simpler version, the first time you play it, it's kind of a heavy lift, and because there's not a lot of downtime, some people won't feel like they've got time to plan out their turn, decide what they want to do. Somebody may feel like they're slowing down the game, and that might make them feel nervous or really self-conscious about not being able to to keep up as quickly as everyone else is.
And then it's also one of those things where if you're taking a little while longer to pick up on it than other people are, and you get that analysis paralysis, that's affecting everyone else at the table because they're so used to things being snappy. So I can completely understand that.
Yeah.
I would say this one's probably, I think it's like a 2.8 or something on Board Game Geek on the complexity scale. I'm not 100% sure of that.
2.8 out of 10?
2.8 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
So it's more of
I can see that.
It's more of a medium. It's more of a medium-ish game. So I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
That was also what I think other people might not like, not for the reason that you said, but for a different reason. I think people might not like there not being any downtime.
Right.
Because, if somebody has to get up and go get a drink from the game table or something, they're holding up everyone else's turn because you have to wait on that person to get back. If you have somebody that has like a very involved job and they make it a habit of checking their phone or doing something work related, kind of in between, they may not like that no downtime.
Right.
But it's only running 45 an hour, somewhere in that range, maybe upwards of an hour and a half with 5 people.
Yeah.
We've played it with 4 and it didn't come in an hour and a half.
No,
it was
didn't.
a little over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you just really don't like that, if you like to take your time between your turns and kind of feel like you can get up and move around or you can do this, you may not like that.
Yeah.
You may not like that constantly having to do something.
Yeah.
I love it. That's probably my favorite part of the game.
Too.
But I can definitely see where somebody would be like, I don't dig that.
Yeah. I want something that's more chill.
For sure, for sure. So what are you scoring this one?
This one's high for me. I'm actually going to go at a 9. I can't imagine a situation when you would say, let's go play Game of Earth. And I would be like, no, I don't want to play that game. Because I'd be happy to play this at any point. And there's so many cards and there's so many variety. I mean, I'm sure you could, if you played it 50 times, maybe the novelty would wear off, but there's so many different combinations. It's got a pretty good lifespan to it.
Yeah. And you're talking about $40 box.
Exactly.
Like it's
no,
but if you let's say you did play it 50 times and you started to get up into that number, you're talking at less than $1 a play once you went up there. So the value is 100% there no matter what. And also I should have talked about this a little bit earlier before we went into the review scores and everything, but I've played this one solo. It has a really good, really puzzly solo mode too, and I really enjoy that. So you could possibly even get more legs out of this one if you enjoy playing games solo, because the solo is really well thought out here and it's really puzzly, and there's certain things like if you draw these cards, you have to choose one to pick, but then you have to give 3 to the bot that you're playing against, and that's part of their score at the end of the game.
Oh, so you're making sure that you're not giving them the high scoring cards.
Yes, you're like, well, I don't need this card that's worth 9 points at the end of the game, but do I really want to give it to the bot? Like maybe I'll take that this time and then I'll just compost it or something. It's like, so it's really thoughtful. It's really puzzly in that. I really like that.
That's cool.
I am also coming in at a 9 on this one because I agree with you. I can't see a world where I'm like, no, I don't want to play Earth, or I'm bored with Earth. Even the games of Earth that I've had that were mildly frustrating with the scoring options kind of not lining up, or me feeling like I didn't get really good draws. The last game we played, which is still out on the table here because we just played it, I felt like I got horrible draws. The whole game, I felt like I got horrible draws. And we were still within like 10 points of each other at the end of the game. So even with that, like even when I feel like things aren't going well, the scores still really line up. And like she said, we've played this one with other people. They loved it.
Yep.
And I'm a huge fan of Earth. This will be my go-to nature game for the foreseeable future until something comes in and dethrones it.
I agree.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I think it's a good game. You should consider picking it up if you don't have it in your collection.
Guys, thank you for watching another video. Always, please like, subscribe. This was Earth. I hope you guys pick it up. I hope you like it. We love it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.